Okay, welcome back. So if it's been a while since you've worked with mixed numbers, this will be a great review for you. Reminder, a mixed number is just the sum of a whole number and a proper fraction. Also recall that mixed numbers can be written as improper fractions. If you're rusty on how to do that, no problem, we'll work on it. So again, 3 plus 4/5, so a whole number plus a proper fraction, we can write that as 3 4/5. So when you see the mixed number 3 4/5, just know that it really means 3 plus 4/5. So think about this. If a recipe calls for 3 4/5 cups of flour, wouldn't you take 3 cups of flour and then an additional 4/5 cups of flour, and voila, you got it, right? Other reminder that if you have an improper fraction, such as 19/5, it's nice to view it as 3 4/5 so that you know where it lives on the number line. So you know it lives somewhere in between 3 and 4, right? So locating it here on the number line is very useful. If you're rusty on how to move from this improper fraction, 19/5 to 3 4/5, you simply just divide 5 into 19. 5 goes into 19 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract. Remainder's 4. This is your whole portion, and you put your remainder over your divisor. So 3 4/5. So it's basically longhand division that brings you to writing your mixed number. Okay, let's see what else we're cooking up here today. So again, that's just written in words, a reminder. To multiply or divide mixed numbers, so we begin operating, I recommend writing your mixed number as an improper fraction. And so you can use this approach when you add or subtract as well, but you may want to borrow or carry when you're adding or subtracting mixed numbers, as we'll see in the near future. So now that we're multiplying, let's just try this notion of convert it to improper fraction first. So 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. So 16/5, dot, multiplied, try again. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, so 9/4. Once you write them as improper fractions, then you may travel straight across, or you can, if you're comfortable, you can look on the diagonals for cross cancellation. 4 goes into itself once, 4 goes into 16 4 times, and then travel straight across. 4 times 9 is 36, 5 times 1 is 5. So you see we're arriving at the answer 36/5. So note to self, change these to improper fractions before operating on them. Okay? It's a great approach. Whether you're multiplying, dividing, adding, it's always a great approach to deal with mixed numbers. Okay? When you are adding or subtracting mixed numbers, you certainly have the freedom to change them to improper fractions, but it's often easier to just add or subtract the whole number parts and the proper fraction parts vertically. So let's, take a look at that. If it's been a while since you've carried, let's take a look. 2 5/14 vertically means stack them up on each other vertically like this. 5 6/7. Focus in on just the fractional part. LCD with 14 and 7 is obviously 14. 7 goes into 14 twice, 2 times, so you can almost be like 7 times 2 is 14, 6 times 2 is 12. So you want to write these equivalent fractions over here. This stays 5/14. Now that we have the same denominator, 5/14 plus 12/14 is 17/14. And you can add the whole number parts. 2 plus 5 makes 7. Now, hey, wait a second. How come we got 7 and 17/14 and the final answer should be 8 3/14? Aha! Note to self. 17/14 is improper. You have to make sure it's proper. So 14 into 17 goes once with 3 remaining. Carry the 1. See, that's the trick that some people forgot how to do that. Carry the 1 Well, hey, look how that happens. Carry the 1 means basically add the 1 onto the 7. So 7 plus 1 makes 8, and keep the 3/14. Okay? So if it's been a while since you've done that business about carrying, carry the 1, 7 plus 1 makes 8, and keep the remaining 3 out of 14. If that's been a while and you don't think you're comfortable with that, you could always change them to improper. But the thing is, if you change it to improper fractions, you're going to start wheeling and dealing in bigger numbers, right? So I'm just going to note to self here, I could take the approach option. Yeah, see, 14 times 2 is 28. So I could write this as 33 over 14 and add it to, what, 35 plus 6 makes 41 over 14. Over 7. But see, then you start wheeling and dealing in big numbers because then you got to get the LCD with that. You're going to arrive at a fairly large number. I think sometimes it's just simply easier to learn how to carry. Okay? Let you play with that on your own. The next example, and in fact our last example, is borrowing. Let's take a look. 5 3/14 minus 3 6/7. Again, we focus in on those little side fractions, get the LCD, which is clearly 14, so that one will stay the same. 7 into 14 goes 2. 2 times 6 is 12. But hey, 3 minus 12 I can't do, so I'm going to have to borrow. But who do you borrow from? You borrow a whole unit from this guy. All right, so this guy turns into a 4. I'm borrowing one whole unit. And slide that 1 right beside there, that 1 that you borrowed. And take this now and write it as an improper fraction. Okay. Well then, 14 times 1 is 14 plus 3 is 17. So I'll have 17/14. And now it's okay. See, now I can do the math. 17/14 minus 12/14 makes 5/14. And 4 minus 3 makes 1. So now you see we have the answer 1 and 5/14, but I have the answer listed as 19/14. Either one of those is fine. 19/14 is obviously the improper fraction. And this is obviously the mixed number. Okay? I would accept either one of those, improper or mixed. All right, I hope that was a good reminder of how to borrow. So remember, big note to self, borrow 1. And so that's what you always borrow, 1 whole unit. And then you translate to improper fraction and you arrive here. So it's not like you're ever borrowing 2 or 3 or 4. You're borrowing 1. And you slide that 1 that you borrowed right in front like that and write this as an improper. All right, hope that helps. Good luck out there. Oh, I didn't want to leave you go just yet. I know this is a no calculator course, but I wanted to show you some things you can do to sort of just check yourself after you've already done it by hand. So 5 3/14 as an improper fraction would be what? 73/14. So what I always like to do, change it to improper, write it like that, minus, change this one to improper, which would be what? 21 plus 6 would be 27 over 7. So write it as two improper fractions in your calculator minus each other and hit enter. And then hit math frac. See? 19/14 is the final answer. So it'll take a decimal and store it as a fraction. And guess what? 19/14 is what we got. So it's just nice to check. Okay, good luck.